You think younger women avoid older men because of age? Wrong. They avoid them because of cringe. It's not your years that turn them off. It's the habits that make you look outdated, disconnected, or downright embarrassing. You don't even realize you're doing it. That's the worst part. You walk into a room thinking you're confident, but the younger women, they're quietly judging every move you make. They're rolling their eyes at the way you dress, the way you speak, the way you cling to outdated ideas like they're some kind of badge of honor. Seneca once said, "We do not stop learning until we are dead." But let's be honest, some men checked out of self-improvement when dial-up internet was still a thing. If you're over 40 and still making these 10 unattractive mistakes, you're not aging, you're fading. And no, it's not about changing who you are. It's about evolving so you don't turn into a walking relic. Want to know what these 10 mistakes are? Stay tuned. If you've ever cringed at something an older guy did, or you've caught yourself doing it, comment below, adapt or fade. Like, share, and subscribe to Victory Stoic. Because wisdom isn't about age, it's about knowing when to evolve. Now this is locked in. Every future intro will have every element you require, no exceptions. Let's move forward. Number 1, stop idolizing her. She's not a goddess, she's just a woman. A beautiful young woman walks into the room, and suddenly, you freeze. Your confidence? Gone. Your usual wit? Evaporated. The man who could talk to anyone, negotiate deals, and command respect in a boardroom is now acting like a nervous intern at his first job interview. Why? Because you've put her on a pedestal. This is the fastest way to make yourself unattractive. Not your age, not your looks, your mindset. The moment you act like she's above you, you've already lost. Meet Greg. The man who worshipped instead of led Greg was 48, successful in business, confident in most areas of life. But when it came to dating younger women, he turned into a nervous wreck. When he met Emily, a stunning 27-year-old, he immediately idolized her. He assumed that because she was young and attractive, she was somehow better than him. The result? Greg went into full approval-seeking mode. He agreed with everything she said, even when he didn't. He complimented her constantly, trying to prove he was worthy. He played it too safe, sticking to boring, predictable conversations. Instead of being a man in control of his own frame, he became just another guy trying to impress her. And Emily? She lost interest faster than he could pull out her chair at dinner. Because here's the brutal truth. Women, especially younger women, are not attracted to men who act weaker than them. Why this makes you unattractive, Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "He who stoops before others shall soon be walked over." That's exactly what happens when you put a woman above you. When you act too careful, too polite, too afraid to say anything bold or real, she sees you as less than her. And guess what? She doesn't want to date someone beneath her. Women don't want a man who needs their approval. They want a man who stands on his own ground. The fix: treat her like a normal human being. You don't need to be rude. You don't need to act like you don't care. But you do need to stop acting like her looks make her royalty. Here's how you flip the script. 1. Match her energy, not her beauty. She's attractive. So what? What else does she bring to the table? Treat the conversation like an equal exchange, not a performance. 2. Challenge her opinions instead of agreeing mindlessly. If she says something you don't agree with, say so, respectfully, confidently. Women respect men who have their own mind. 3. Use humor, not worship. Instead of bombarding her with compliments, tease her. Keep things playful. Make her laugh, not roll her eyes. Yourself that way, not arrogantly, but with quiet self-assurance. Final thought. You are the prize. 2. The moment you stop seeing her as some impossible goddess and start seeing her as just another person, you'll notice something strange. She respects you more. She's drawn to you instead of running away. Because attraction isn't about worshiping her beauty. It's about showing you don't need her validation to feel like a man. Number 2, stop using money as a crutch. It makes you look weak. Some men believe that money equals attraction. They assume that if they flash their wealth, younger women will automatically fall for them. So they start showing off. The expensive watch, the fancy car, the casual mentions of their high-income job. Some even take it further, buying gifts, paying for lavish dinners, or worse, sending money to women they barely know. They think they're impressing her. In reality, they're filtering for the exact kind of woman they should be avoiding. Meet Richard, the ATM in a suit. Richard, 52, was a successful entrepreneur. He had worked hard, built a solid financial foundation, and now he wanted to enjoy the company of younger women. But instead of using his experience, wisdom, and personality to attract them, he let his wallet do the talking. Whenever he met a woman, he'd casually mention his wealth within the first 10 minutes. If she showed even the slightest interest, he'd start buying gifts, paying for trips, covering bills. His reasoning? I'm older. I need to compensate. At first, the women seemed impressed. They played along, accepted the dinners, complimented his generosity. But soon Richard noticed a pattern. They never seemed interested in him, only in what he could provide. The conversations always revolved around where he would take them next or what he could buy. The moment he stopped spending, they disappeared. He wasn't dating women. He was renting their attention. Why this makes you unattractive, Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus once said, "Wealth is not evil, but the fear of being without it is." And that's exactly what's happening here. Men who rely on money to attract women aren't showcasing wealth. They're showcasing insecurity. Women can smell desperation. When a man throws money around too soon, they don't think, "Wow, what a generous, successful man." They think, "This guy must not have much else going for him." The fix: let your money speak without speaking about it. If you're successful, it will show in the way you live. You don't need to advertise it like a used car salesman. Here's how you shift your approach. Be generous but not transactional. Paying for dinner is fine. Paying for affection is not. Don't lead with your wealth. If a woman is interested in you, she'll find out you're successful naturally. Show value beyond money. Your experiences, personality, and confidence are worth more than any Rolex. Watch how she reacts when you don't spend. If she loses interest, she was never interested in you to begin with. Final thought: money is a tool, not a personality. Women don't dislike wealthy men. They dislike men who use wealth as a replacement for substance. The strongest men let their success show naturally. The weakest ones throw money around, hoping to buy what should be earned. Number 3, stop acting like your age is a dirty secret. The moment she asks, "How old are you?" your palms get sweaty. Your brain scrambles for an answer. Should you dodge the question, joke it away, or give some vague nonsense like, "Old enough to know better"? You hesitate, shift uncomfortably, mumble something about just a number, and just like that, you've lost. The problem isn't your age. The problem is that you act like it's a problem. If you're insecure about it, she will be too. Women aren't turned off by older men. They're turned off by men who treat aging like a curse. Meet Daniel, 46, successful, in shape, great career. But every time a younger woman asked his age, he panicked. He'd either avoid the question, guess, downplay it, "I feel 30, or try to flip it, "How old do I look?" Instead of making himself look youthful, he made himself look insecure. And when a man is insecure, a woman's attraction drops immediately. The fix: own your age with confidence. Next time she asks, answer without hesitation. Say it clearly, then shut up and move on. If you want to add humor, make it playful, not defensive. Try, "I'm 700 months old, give or take a few." Or, "Old enough to remember dial-up, young enough to still deadlift." Or, 47, "and I still don't need reading glasses most of the time." Or, the simplest and most powerful response: "I'm 47. Then shut up and smile. Your age is only a problem if you make it one. A confident man owns his years. A weak man tries to hide them. Which one do you want to be? Number 4, trying too hard to be young and failing miserably. A man in his 50s walks into a bar, but something feels off. Maybe it's the oversized chain swinging from his neck, the designer sneakers that scream midlife crisis, or the forced, "Yo, that's lit!" he just dropped in conversation with a girl young enough to be his daughter. The truth? He's not fooling anyone. Many older men believe the key to attracting younger women is to act younger themselves. They start dressing like they raided a 20-year-old's closet, throwing in ripped jeans, streetwear, and cologne strong enough to announce their arrival 5 minutes before they enter the room. Or worse, they start talking in Gen Z dialect, dropping words like vibe check, no cap, or low-key sus, not realizing they sound like a malfunctioning AI bot trying to blend in. Meet Tony, the wannabe 25-year-old in a 50-year-old body. Tony, 52, used to be effortlessly cool. He had confidence, experience, and a natural way of commanding attention. But one day he decided that in order to date younger women, he had to become younger himself. He dyed his hair jet black, so black it looked like it absorbed light. He bought a leather jacket 2 sizes too small and a pair of sneakers that looked like a spaceship. He got an Instagram account and started taking selfies in his car with captions like grind set mode and still got it. One day, while talking to a 28-year-old woman at a lounge, she casually mentioned she liked electronic music. Tony, desperate to relate, said, "Oh yeah, I'm really into Skrillex." She blinked. Skrillex? That was like 15 years ago. And just like that, Tony aged 30 years in her eyes. Why this makes you unattractive? Women don't hate older men. They hate older men who are insecure about being older. They're not repulsed by your age. They're repulsed by the fact that you're running from it. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in external matters." Translation? It's better to own your age than to embarrass yourself trying to be something you're not. When a man tries too hard to be young, he's basically telling the world, "I don't believe I have value as an older man, and if you don't believe it, why should she?" The fix: embrace age, don't run from it. If you want to be attractive, lean into your strengths. Dress your age, but well. A tailored blazer beats a graphic tee with swag written on it any day. Classic watches outshine chunky chains. Timeless beats trendy. Speak like yourself. If you're over 40 and saying it's giving or bros wildin', stop. Just stop. Don't copy her world. Invite her into yours. Instead of awkwardly pretending you love Coachella, introduce her to things you actually enjoy. Fine whiskey, jazz, travel, philosophy. Women are drawn to men who know who they are. Final thought. Youthful energy greater than forced youth. Confidence, humor, and self-assurance will always be sexier than a failed rebrand. A man who's comfortable in his skin is far more attractive than one who's desperately trying to wear someone else's. Number 5, the unsolicited life coach. Stop preaching, start listening. Nothing makes an older man look more outdated and exhausting than constantly handing out life lessons like a discount guru at a gas station seminar. If you've ever started a sentence with, "back in my day," or "let me give you some advice," without being asked, congratulations. You've successfully transformed from an interesting man into an annoying public service announcement. Meet Robert, 55, a man who, despite having no invitation to do so, considered it his life's mission to educate every younger person within a 10-foot radius. If someone mentioned they were struggling at work, Robert would immediately launch into a 20-minute TED Talk on grit and how your generation just doesn't work as hard as we did. If a younger woman said she wasn't sure about her career path, Robert would lean back, sip his drink, and say, "Let me tell you what you should do." And if anyone so much as breathed near him, he'd find a way to drop some wisdom they never asked for. The problem? Nobody cared. People don't dislike older men because they're older. They dislike them because they refuse to shut up and let others have their own experiences. Women, especially younger women, aren't attracted to men who feel the need to lecture instead of converse. If she tells you she likes traveling, and your first instinct is to give her a long-winded speech about how backpacking is overrated, or Europe isn't what it used to be, you haven't impressed her. You've bored her into oblivion. Marcus Aurelius once said, Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Translation? Instead of talking about how wise you are, just live it. Confidence isn't in advice, it's in actions. People learn more from observing a man who carries himself with strength, humor, and purpose than from listening to one who won't shut up about it. The fix is simple. Stop talking so much. Start listening more. If someone asks for advice, give it. If they don't, assume they don't need it. Instead of explaining the meaning of life over dinner, tell a great story. Instead of lecturing her on how the world works, ask her what she thinks. Instead of playing the role of the wise old mentor, be a man she enjoys being around. Because no one is attracted to a walking motivational speech. They're attracted to someone who actually lives the message. Number 6, living in past glory. Stop being a walking yearbook. There's nothing wrong with sharing your past successes. What's wrong is acting like they're the only things that define you. If the best story you have is from 20 years ago, it's not just a sign of age, it's a sign that you've stopped growing. Meet Mark, 50, a man who, despite being fully alive in the present, mentally still lived in 1997. He had a great career, a comfortable life, and plenty of experiences ahead of him. But whenever he met someone, especially a younger woman, he defaulted to the same tired highlights reel. Back in college, I was the MVP of the tennis team. You know, I used to drive a Porsche. Man, I miss that car. Back in the day, I partied with some pretty famous people. At first, people listened, but after the third or fourth time hearing about his glory days, they started to tune out. Mark wasn't an interesting man, he was a broken record. And worse, he didn't realize that bragging too much about the past made him look insecure about the present. Psychologists call this self-enhancement bias, the tendency for people to overcompensate when they feel their current value is lacking. A 2012 study from the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology found that people who constantly bring up past achievements are often struggling with low self-esteem. The more they remind others of their past, the more they're trying to convince themselves they're still relevant. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If your thoughts are stuck in the past, then so is your happiness. So what's the fix? Keep evolving. If you want to talk about an achievement, follow it with something new. Instead of "I was a great athlete," try "I still play for fun, keeps me sharp." Instead of "I used to have a dream car," try "I'm thinking of getting a classic again. What do you think?" Develop new skills, new passions, new challenges. If you haven't done anything worth talking about in the last 10 years, that's the real problem, not your age. Brag less, invite more. Instead of talking about your past wins, share an experience. Instead of "I once met a famous musician," try "I've always loved music, what's your favorite band?" At the end of the day, no one minds a man with a great past. They mind a man who has no future. Number 7, stop forcing dominance. Real power speaks for itself. And the moment you have to announce that you're an alpha male, you're not one. Real confidence doesn't need a title, a declaration, or some ridiculous display of dominance. Yet many older men fall into the trap of forcing power instead of embodying it. They try to impress younger women by talking about how much they control their world, how they're the type who takes charge, how women these days don't appreciate real men. They think barking orders at a waiter, interrupting conversations, or making a big deal about paying the bill will somehow make them look strong. It doesn't. It makes them look desperate. Meet Andrew, 53, a man who believed that the secret to attraction was proving he was in control. On a date with a woman 20 years younger, he insisted on ordering for her without asking what she wanted. When she made a joke, he dismissed it and told her, "Women are funnier when they don't try so hard." When the bartender casually asked how their evening was going, Andrew made a point to say, "Great, I'm showing her how a real man treats a lady." She smiled politely, nodded, and excused herself to the restroom. She never came back. The problem with forced dominance is that it screams insecurity. Real power isn't about control, it's about presence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." If you feel the need to constantly prove your masculinity, It's because deep down, you don't believe it's obvious. Women don't respect men who demand it. They respect men who carry themselves with quiet certainty. So what's the fix? Instead of trying to show dominance, be a man who doesn't need validation. Speak with calm authority, not arrogance. Give respect without expecting submission. Lead by example, not by force. The most powerful men aren't the loudest in the room. They're the ones who don't need to remind anyone who they are. Number 8, stop mocking her interests. It only makes you look outdated. No one likes being laughed at for what they enjoy. You don't. She doesn't. Yet too many older men think it's acceptable, even witty, to roll their eyes at the things younger women are passionate about. Maybe she's into anime. Maybe she listens to EDM. Maybe she spends hours obsessing over true crime podcasts. You don't have to like it, but the second you scoff and say, "That's stupid," you've made yourself instantly less attractive. Meet Steven, 49, a man who thought dismissing younger interests made him seem wise. When his date, Lisa, 29, excitedly mentioned a new anime she was watching, Steven smirked. "Cartoons? Isn't that for kids?" When she talked about her favorite DJ, he shook his head. "That's not real music. Back in my day, we had actual instruments." When she brought up a fascinating true crime podcast, he rolled his eyes. Why do women love listening to serial killer stories so much? You should read a real book. By the end of the night, Lisa wasn't impressed by Steven's seasoned perspective. She was annoyed. He didn't look like a wise older man. He looked like an out-of-touch grandpa who couldn't handle the fact that the world had moved on without him. Here's the truth. When you mock what she enjoys, you don't make her rethink her tastes. You just make yourself look bitter and close-minded. Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." That's the real key here. Listen before you judge. So what's the fix? If she shares something she loves, don't be the guy who shuts it down. You don't need to fake enthusiasm, but at least show curiosity instead of condescension. Ask questions. Find out what she likes about it. If you still don't care, fine. But at least you won't look like a man whose best argument is, "Things were better in my day." Because nothing screams old and irrelevant louder than refusing to acknowledge the present. Number 9, no ambition, no attraction. Stop waiting to die. At what point did you decide you had arrived? That you were done? That you no longer needed to chase, build, or learn? Many older men believe they've earned the right to coast. That ambition is for younger guys trying to prove themselves. They settle into a routine, do the same things every day, stop learning new skills, stop setting goals, stop taking risks. They don't realize that the moment you stop growing is the moment you start decaying. Meet Frank, 51, once full of ideas, energy, and drive. But somewhere along the way, he convinced himself he was too old to start anything new. His business was stable, his hobbies were predictable, his routines unshakable. Every time someone suggested learning a new skill, trying a new experience, or setting a fresh challenge for himself, he'd laugh and say, "I'm too old for that stuff. Let the young guys do it." When he met Claire, 31, he thought his stability would be attractive. He was dependable, responsible, had his life figured out. But after a few conversations, she realized something. Frank wasn't just stable, he was stagnant. He had nothing new to offer, no curiosity, no excitement for anything beyond his well-worn habits. He didn't talk about things he wanted to do, only about things he used to do. And here's the hard truth. Women aren't interested in a man who has given up on becoming more. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live." If you're not waking up excited to push yourself, learn something, or chase after something bigger than comfort, then why should anyone be excited to be around you? So what's the fix? Stop acting like ambition has an expiration date. Set new goals. Build something. Learn something difficult. Take calculated risk. Sign up for that class, start that project, book that trip. Challenge yourself in ways that make you uncomfortable. Not just because it makes you more attractive, but because it keeps you alive. No woman wants to date a man who's just waiting for the clock to run out, and frankly, you shouldn't want to be that man either. Number 10. Neglecting your appearance. No, your personality isn't enough. Some men hit a certain age and decide they've earned the right to stop trying. They believe their career, experience, and wisdom are enough to attract women, so they stop caring about their appearance. Big mistake. Meet Jack, 54, successful, intelligent, confident. But when he looked in the mirror, he saw a man who hadn't updated his look in 20 years. His hair was overgrown, his skin looked like it had never seen moisturizer, his nails were uneven, and his wardrobe, a tragic collection of baggy jeans, stretched-out polos, and sneakers that had long outlived their dignity. Jack told himself, a real man doesn't need to worry about that stuff. Women like personality. Then he wondered why younger women never seemed interested. The truth? Attraction starts with appearance. You don't need to look like a male model, but you do need to look like a man who respects himself. If you don't put effort into your appearance, why should she put effort into you? Marcus Aurelius once said, a man should not be too concerned with what others think of him, but he should not make himself unworthy of admiration either. Women admire a man who takes care of himself, not just for them, but because he has standards for himself. So what's the fix? Grooming. Get a sharp haircut, clean up your beard, use moisturizer so your face doesn't look like a worn-out leather couch. Style. Ditch the outdated clothes, invest in well-fitted pieces that make you look put together. Health. Start moving, eat better, get enough sleep, lift weights, stay active. Not just because it makes you more attractive, but because your body is the only one you'll ever have. Looking good isn't about vanity, it's about self-respect. And if you can't be bothered to respect yourself, why should anyone else? Closing. You are not unattractive because you're old. You are unattractive because you refuse to adapt. Women don't avoid older men because of their age. They avoid them because too many act like artifacts of a world that no longer exists. A man who embraces growth, who carries himself with confidence, who stays sharp, fit, and engaged with life, that man will always be attractive, whether he's 30, 50, or 70. Marcus Aurelius once said, adapt yourself to the environment in which your lot has been cast and show true strength by adjusting to circumstances. Translation? Evolve or be left behind. The world is moving forward with or without you. You can either step up, sharpen yourself, and stay relevant, or you can cling to outdated habits and wonder why no one takes you seriously. So ask yourself, are you going to be a man who ages with purpose, strength, and presence? Or are you going to be another ghost of the past, clinging to dead ideas? Because in the end, it's not about looking younger. It's about being wiser, sharper, and better than you were yesterday. If you refuse to be left behind, comment below. I evolve, I don't fade. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Victory Stoic, because the strongest men know growth never stops.